everyone, this is Judith Hope and I am so excited that you are here. We're going to do some new moon messages here very quickly. And so I just wanted to quickly introduce myself for those of you who don't know who I am. So I'm an Akashic channel and I work mainly with the Akashic Records with galactic past lives, right? So if you don't know what a past life is, it's exactly what you would think it is, right? Like another lifetime you had, either as another human if it was on planet Earth, or you could have been a human on another planet, or potentially some type of ET or higher dimensional being as well. So I work with a lot of past lives for both myself and for my clients, as well as I channel a lot of galactic history information from the Akashic Records. And what we're going to be doing today is channeling specific messages for all of you beautiful starseeds out there from the Akashic Records. So what's going to be happening during this new moon period, right? And so our new moon is typically when our moon is fresh, right? When it's like dark. So it symbolizes, you know, like new beginnings, right? And this is like a good time for like intention setting and those types of things, right? And so I like to see what messages come during both the new moon and the full moon, right? But the new moon is very, very special to me. I like the full moon as well, but the new moon, it just feels like a fresh start, right? And the cool thing is that you get a fresh start every single month because we have a new moon every single month. So just keep that in mind as you're listening. It's a great time to set intentions during the new moon. So if you haven't already, you know, set aside some time, you know, either today or tomorrow or whenever you can, and just write out some intentions for this new moon, right? And kind of just state and put those out there into the universe. I mean, you could do a whole ritual if you want. I do rituals a lot of the time, but you don't have to. You can also just state your intentions and put them out into the universe, and that is beautiful as well. So before we get started, I do want to announce though that I recently announced some sticker printables, some Starseed sticker printables to be specific. And so I don't know if you guys know this, but I love stickers. I've been obsessed with stickers like pretty much my entire life since I was a child. As an adult, I really still connect with stickers. I have lots of sticker clubs I'm in, or I just go to the store and get them. And I use them on all kinds of things like my planners, my journal, my computer. If you could see my laptop right now, you would see it is covered in stickers, but also just art. Like I love sticker art. I just love using them everywhere and they bring me so much joy. In fact, they're one of the things that being a human you can use because it's very tangible, right? Like when we are in spirit form, we can't physically like peel off a sticker and stick it somewhere, right? And make art and make something beautiful and cool and fun with those stickers. But you can do that as a human. So as a human, that is one of my biggest joys, is using stickers. So because of that, I thought I've got to make a whole sticker line of sticker printables that for every, you know, type of starseed, right? So for our Lyran starseeds, we have these like cat-like Hello Kitty looking characters, right? And then for an Andromedan starseeds, we have these like angelic purple angel stickers. And then for our, you know, Sirius starseeds, we have water beings that look like mer people, mermaids. And so those are all available. They're completely free. They're printables right now. So eventually one day I do want to actually like print them and sell them as stickers. But until then, you can just print them on your own if you have a printer at your home and like a sticker making machine. They're very inexpensive. So you can go and you can make them. I probably need to do that myself, right? Or you can use them just like as a poster or a picture as well. So yeah, so I'm going to have the link below if you want to get some free Starseed sticker printables. So let's get into our channeled message for today. So I'm actually going to start with our Andromedan starseed. So if you don't know what type of starseed you are, as we go through, I'll kind of talk a little bit about each starseed type. So just whatever resonates, it sounds like, oh, hey, like I feel like that could be me. Like if you're getting that feeling, then it most likely means that you do have some type of attachment to that star system, right? And, you know, we typically would identify ourselves as a certain type of starseed, such as I'm a Sirius starseed from Sirius, or I'm an Orion starseed from Orion. But a lot of us have actually had lives on all of these different constellations. I know for me, I personally have been on almost all of these that we'll talk about today. So you really just kind of have to feel through like which star system like your energy in this lifetime feels most relevant or like attached to, because you've probably been on all of them before. So just kind of keep that in mind. Like whichever one resonates, you know, with you is typically the one that is for you, right? But if you want to find out officially, you can always book a reading with me. We go through your entire, you know, soul origin, your galactic history, like basically like all the different stuff you were doing on other planets and star systems prior to coming here to Earth. So that being said, if you want to book a reading with me, you can click below. Also, don't forget to subscribe as well. Okay, so let's get started. So first, we are going to channel the new moon message, what's going to be happening over the next couple of weeks for our Andromedan starseeds. So our Andromedan starseeds, typically the kind of characteristics we'll have is that, you know, you're really easy to talk to, you're a good listener, but sometimes they struggle with communicating as well, particularly communicating your emotions. So if you're someone who has a hard time like really communicating how you feel, that could show that you are an Andromedan starseed. A lot of Andromedan starseeds have a very like laid back personality, kind of love with the go with the flow, carefree lifestyle, you know, act or look maybe like childlike or like maybe younger than you are. If people mistake you for being younger than you actually are, like that's a good, you know, sign that you could be an Andromedan starseed. So if any of those sound familiar, hey, you could be an Andromedan starseed. So I'm gonna tap in here, and just so you guys know, before I do get started, I am, you know, channeling from the Akashic Records, so I already opened up the Akashic Records. It's open prior to even starting filming any of this, so that's why I'm gonna be able to go in and start receiving messages from this giant database or force field right now. So let's do it. So what is our message for our Andromedan starseeds? So it seems like right now, for a lot of our Andromedan starseeds, there's something in their life that there's a lot of debate about. So this might be like debate with other people, but it feels a little bit more like it's debate like internally in your head about what direction to take, right? And it feels like a lot of you do have a, you know, some type of connection to a stronger presence there, like within yourself, or maybe it's some type of spirit guide, or it's even like a pet or something that you really feel anchored onto and you listen to. There's someone there kind of supporting, you know, guiding you during this process. But for Andromedans right now, it does feel like it's a time where you're trying to pick a new direction or the next direction to go. There's multiple options. There's also like multiple things at play. Like if you're trying to strategize the next moves, it's like there's multiple different factors that could influence the decision that you're making. And so it can feel like a pretty frustrating time. And there's going to be some times where you're wanting to like throw in the towel or like rip everything up or like give up. Like you're just like, I'm done with this. Like it's so frustrating. And so there is going to be some of that energy during this new moon cycle. And there's just going to be some times where you're just overwhelmed and you don't know what to do as well. So just acknowledge that that's going to happen, and then that is okay. And then once that is worked through, the plan will be revealed and it will feel like it's a new day. So there is clarity coming, but there's just some things you're going to have to work through first before you get that clarity, and that is absolutely okay. This is a test not only of your inner strength, but your ability to guide yourself as well, right? So like this situation is frustrating. Like, can you guide yourself through this difficult situation? Like, can you find that inner strength to do this? Like, can you reconnect with your part of yourself that already knows how to do this, right? Can you follow your mind and your intuition and lead yourself down the correct path? This is very much about like that autonomous part of you that wants to shine, right? That autonomous part of you that wants to shine and be seen and wants to lead the way. Like, now's the time to let them do that. And so I think the guidance here is just to keep going through that difficult time, and to learn to rely on yourself, right? Learn to focus inward and find that inner strength, that inner voice. The voices in your head are not as important as the inner voice you find and you feel, right? And remember, you do have that support, right? Whether it's a loved one, a pet, a spirit guide, or just really like finding your inner self as your support. You have that support like during this 2-week period. So it's very important to just embrace that and honor that part of yourself, the part of you that already knows the right answer, the part of you that already knows the way, right? So I think it's going to be really big for the Andromedan Starseeds in this 2 week period of the new moon. So yeah, sounds like it'll be a time for a lot of like self growth, which is not always fun, but it's always good. And you always come out. It's like when they show me like the new day, it's like you open up the curtains and it's like beautiful scenery and like the sun is shining and like it's a new day, you know, type of feeling. So the next 2 weeks may not be like the funnest, but they may end up being some of like the biggest like growth moments for you. So all right, so that's it for our Andromedan Starseeds. So let's go to our Lyran Starseeds next. And Lyrans always have a special, you know, place in my heart because they kind of look like Hello Kitty does, and Hello Kitty is my favorite character. So by that I mean they are cat humanoids. So you can see her. You can see her right there. So Lyrans kind of look like this, right? They're like a humanoid, but they are also feline, right? So they have like a feline head, but they're more like, you know, human characteristics, right? And it's interesting because I have seen them multiple times in the Akashic Records, and it's interesting to think about the combination of a cat, think about our pets, with a human, right? And so that's what, you know, the Lyrans are known for. There were also human Lyrans as well. Like Lyra was the first star system where humans were created by higher level alien geneticists. And so we have our feline humanoids, but then we also just have, you know, regular humanoids as well, and then also some bird beings. But a ton of us here, myself included, were on Lyra, you know, thousands and thousands of years ago. That was some of our first human incarnations in this galaxy, in the Milky Way galaxy. So I think a lot of people identify with being a Lyran starseed. So just listen to some of the traits, and if you identify with any of them or all of them, that could mean that you are a Lyran starseed. All right. So for a lot of Lyran starseeds, they really consider themselves to be like hard workers. A lot of Lyran starseeds actually enjoy physical labor. They also take really great pleasure in like good and exotic food, beverage, and then their romantic relationships, right? So it's like that sensuality that could either be through like taste or maybe through like the expression of yourself through romantic partnership. And a lot of Lyran starseeds just want to be loved and love in return. A lot of Lyran starseeds are cat people, right? For the obvious connection I just mentioned. So often I tell people who are cat people, I'm like, you probably have like a past life history on Lyra if you feel really resonant and love cats. A lot of Lyran starseeds are athletic and enjoy exercise and sports, so they're very physical type of people. And they also tend to need more sleep than the average human being. So if you're typically like where you're needing more sleep than those around you, it's a really good chance that you are a Lyran starseed. All right, so let's get into our message for our Lyran starseeds. So for Lyran starseeds, there's something big coming that you're not quite sure you're ready for. It is something where you're kind of being put like in the spotlight or in front of others. Maybe you're stepping into some kind of new role, maybe at work or maybe in another area of your life. And it definitely feels like there's a lot of eyes on you. Like maybe it's like you're being, you know, picked to do some big presentation and you haven't done public speaking in like years or something like that. Like that's the type of feeling that you're having. Right now, it's tough to step up to the plate, but the guidance here is that the power to do this is within you. You just have to look within. You do have what it takes. You're nervous because before there were just instances where you felt like you were a failure, right? So you felt like you were a failure even though you weren't really a failure. And I think for a lot of you guys, that's what is holding you back. There's this feeling of like eyes and everyone's judgment on you. Like, can I do this, right? What are people thinking about me? And it's not so much like what are people's opinions of you? It's like maybe someone's going to be watching that you want their approval. It's like an elder person who may be like a more senior person who is an expert in the field that you're in or something like that, right? Or the person who has the power to give you a promotion, something like that. It's kind of like anxiety because you do know that like you are stepping up to the plate. Like this is a chance to prove yourself, right? And so during this new moon cycle, there's going to be opportunity for you to step into that version of yourself that is ready to be seen and to, be shown, right? Like you were able and ready to show that part of yourself. It just doesn't feel like it, and because you don't feel ready, that's why you keep stepping back, right? You keep stepping away from the spotlight. You don't want to be seen or heard, but there are a lot of people out there who are ready to see you in that light, who are ready to hear your message. Like a lot of these starseeds, like you guys are on a mission, right? And you have work here to do on the planet, and so it's time to step up and step into that limelight so that people can see you for who you really are. And there's an attachment to self here, but it's also more about like, what are you here doing? Why are you here? Why are you being put in the spotlight, right? Because there's a bigger message here. It is about personal growth. Don't get me wrong. Like this is a personal growth moment for a lot of Lyrans, but it's also about like the bigger picture of like, in order to be able to do what you need to do, like you need to be able to do this, right? So it's like you're kind of overcoming some of these hurdles about being seen and things like that so that you can step into, a greater mission. And so once you step into this mission, similar to Andromedan Starseeds, it feels like a lot will be revealed. So that's something I'm seeing between the Andromedans and the Lyrans, is that like there is more clarity coming. It's not necessarily right now. Like this 2-week period is a time to work through fears and blocks, right? Like that's what it's going to be. It's going to be about working through some of this fear and putting yourself out there even when you don't want to, and allowing yourself to be seen, right? Allowing yourself to be seen, allowing yourself to be heard, allowing yourself to work up to the next version of the person that you want to be. So it is a powerful time for Lyran Starseeds. A lot of activations in the voice throat chakra are going to be coming through. Like you're just going to find yourself saying or doing things that you wouldn't normally say or do, and that is absolutely okay. It's a good thing because you are stepping into the next version of yourself. So expect activations, expect empowerment, expect clarity, expect for these things to come to you. They are coming, but first you have to allow yourself to be seen. That is the big message here, is allowing yourself to be seen and allowing yourself to be shown the way, right? So for a lot of you, there may not be clarity about the next steps, but you need to allow yourself to be shown the way as well. So, all right. Anything else for Lyran Starseed? Yeah, it's just like a throat chakra cleansing, like a voice cleansing, right? So it's like allowing yourself to speak in public situations and places where you wouldn't have spoken up before, right? Allowing your thoughts, your inner mind, your inner thoughts, your inner feelings to be known, not keeping those locked up inside, right? Again, it's like allowing yourself to be seen specifically through the throat chakra activation. Okay. That feels good for Lyran. And Andromeda and Lyran stars are pretty connected a lot of the time, I would say. Like, I would consider myself like an Andromedan and a Lyran starseed. So it's very possible you could resonate with both of those messages and they could be tied to the same thing. And I think that many of you listening will feel that way. So if you feel that both of those messages resonated, then that means they're both for you. So I just wanted to mention that. Again, if you do want to clarify what type of starseed you are, where your galactic origin is, what planets, what societies you've been a part of, what type of ET you've been in your previous lifetimes, you can book a session with me at the link below. Would love to have you, and we can get into so much detail and get all your questions answered during those sessions. All right, so let's go on to our vegan starseeds. So for our vegan starseeds, vegans were living around the same time as the Lyrans were. So right next to the Lyran constellation was the Vegan constellation, and they were the second group of humans to be created. The Lyrans were created in the Father God consciousness, while the Lyrans were created in the Mother God consciousness. And so the Vegans were like very in touch with spirituality, but they were also very practical as well. So they actually developed like in a very advanced Starfleet, but then they were also very attuned to like spiritual practices too. So Vegans, absolutely beautiful, beautiful culture. Some signs that you could be a Vegan starseed, or if you feel like an extremely old soul and that you've been incarnating since the dawn of time, that could mean you were vegan, because you do have a very old soul. And Lyran and Andromedan too, I would say, as well. If you have a lot of dreams and visions of flying to different planes or existence to other planets, that could mean that you were vegan. A lot of vegans have a very positive and uplifting personality that is cheerful yet compassionate. Also, a deep connections with birds. Birds seem to follow or gravitate towards you. That could also mean you're a vegan. Vegans are also really good at seeing things from a high level, but can also see the most like minute of details clearly. So if you're someone who can like easily zoom in and zoom out and be like, okay, here's what's going on at the higher level, but then here's the detail, like maybe you're a good manager, but then you're also good at like doing the work yourself too. That could also mean you're a vegan starseed. But then the greatest asset or challenge is also speaking your mind, and owning your truth. So yeah, we see that with a lot of Lyran and vegan starseeds. And then if you like to work with energy, frequency, medicine, that could also mean you are a vegan starseed. So, okay. So if any of those resonate with you, definitely means you could be vegan, and you'll see how they're cute little, like, my Starseed stickers I just made. If you go to the link below and look at them, you can see the vegans. They're so cute. They're like these little, like, blue, because their skin is blue. In higher dimensions it's blue, and then when they come down to lower dimensions it turns more like brown skin, what we would see with like African American people, or people who are of like an Indian, like from India, descent. That darker colored skin is actually blue in higher realms, which people always look at me like I have two heads when I say something like that. But that is how it is. So you'll see in the stickers that I've depicted them as these cute little like blue characters. So yeah, so I hope you'll check out the stickers and use them, because I loved making them so much, and I really want people to be able to enjoy them. So, all right, so let's get into the message for our vegan starseeds. So the vegan starseeds are going to be taking some time to kind of ponder something that they didn't realize about themselves. So it's something that just kind of popped out at them, like kind of a new way of being or a new way of thinking or seeing themselves that they hadn't before. Maybe it's a comment like a, friend made to them, or maybe it's a comment someone else made to them, or it's maybe a certain thing that happened that kind of showed like, hey, you're actually kind of like this, right? Like maybe they reread something they wrote, or re-listened to, a recording they made, or something, like that. It's kind of like they see themselves from a different angle, or see a part of them, maybe, and maybe it's just a discussion with a therapist or something. But they see a part of them, they see a version of themselves that they hadn't seen before. And so for vegan starseeds, it's going to be a time this next 2 weeks for a lot of inner self-reflection. Really looking at yourself and saying, who am I? Am I being true to all of my identities? Am I believing all of my identities? Or am I in touch with all of my identities, right? Because we often have different parts or pieces of ourselves, right? So I think therapists talk a lot about this, right? Like, there's this part of you wants this, but then there's this other part of you who wants that, right? It's like we want different things. Or even it's like there's different pieces of us that we love this, but we love that, or we love this person, we love that person. Like there's different parts and pieces of us, different identities of us. I can say, like, as a, bisexual person, like there is an identity part of me that's very queer, but then there's also an identity part of me that, really, has had a lot of crushes on like boys and men, and like that was growing up. I always had crushes on, masculine people, which were, boys in my class and things like that, right? So there's different parts of me. There's like the part of me that feels like, the little girl or the teenager that, has a crush on a guy and thinks he's so cute and wants a boyfriend. But then there's also the part of me that's like very queer, right? And that part of myself I didn't come into, until I was an adult, and so I feel like that part of me feels like more of an adult, while like the other part of me feels more of like a little girl, if that makes sense. And so I feel like there are different like parts of us, right? And so I feel like for vegan starseeds, like you're going to be kind of looking at these different parts and identities of ourselves, like throughout this 2-week new moon period. It's interesting because what they're actually saying is like regurgitation. It's time to like regurgitate and like process the things that you've been taught, and how does that really stand up as true? Like, do you really feel like the ways that you've been taught that you should be represent yourself? So whether that's like a society thing, like a teacher telling you something, or some type of mentor, or if maybe that's your parent, right? Like maybe that's your parent who wants the best for you, right? Maybe that's your parent who wants the best for you, and they've taught you who you're supposed to be. Does that continue to resonate, right? Like, do these pieces of you, these parts of you who you're supposed to be, continue to resonate, or are you ready to be someone else, right? So it's kind of like looking, it feels like inner reflection on your identity and who you are, and acceptance of your identity too, accepting there are things you can't change, and accepting that there are things that you are in resistance to. And when we're in resistance to certain things, sometimes I find it easiest just to sit and to be in the resistance and just say, okay, I don't have to change anything right now, but I can just sit with the resistance and not let it bother me. Often that's the first step. So I think a lot of you are really encouraged to do that this 2-week new moon period, to just allow yourself to sit in there and reflect. Not a lot of movement for vegans during this 2-week Starseed period. It's more so, 2-week new moon period. It's more so just reflection, inner work, journaling, listening to music, being outside, being with yourself, reflecting on who you are, and just allowing those reflections to come in, allowing that processing to happen, and knowing that, you know, it doesn't matter what outside people say, like, you are you, and you can take the time that you need to realize who you are and to work through things and to live in that identity. And so, yeah, so not a ton of action for vegan Starseeds this 2 weeks. There may be some stuff towards the end of it. They're saying things will pick up, but at least the next week and a half now is really going to be a time to slow it down, reflection, just think, just feel, just think about like how certain things have been in your life and like the last, you know, like period of your life. Maybe it's like, you know, for me, the last, you know, it's coming up on a year now since I quit my full-time job, and my life has been very different, and a lot of things have changed. A lot of things have come out of this period where I haven't been working full-time, so it's like I took some time to really sit and reflect on that. So they're kind of encouraging like all of you to kind of just, all the vegan Starseeds out there, to just sit and reflect on either the last year, the last 6 months, you know, maybe even just the last month, the last couple weeks, like whatever it is, like just feel into that time period for all of you. I'm feeling like a lot of you guys will be like 3, 4, 5, 6 months, like it'll be like that, to really like just sit in and reflect, like what has happened and what does it mean, and like what does it mean going forward for you, and like how have you changed. Yeah, so it's just like, it's going to be a very calm period of reflection for most vegan Starseeds. Next up is going to be our Sirius Starseeds. So I mean Sirius. I don't mean like serious, like, you know, we're going to be serious today. I mean from the planets that are around the star Sirius. So there's two. There's Sirius A and Sirius B currently, and it is said in the Akashic Records that there was once Sirius C as well, which is a different star. That star no longer exists. And so all of the Sirius C civilizations would be very, very old, as well as Sirius B as well, because it's a white dwarf star now, but Sirius A is, you know, a star still more in its prime, I guess you would say. But there's a ton of Sirius Starseeds here on planet Earth. A lot of like salt of the earth type of people, if like a lot of like really spiritual individuals who also embrace the ways of the earth. That's going to be our Sirius Starseed. Just in general, like if you think about it, like a lot of our healing modalities we have here on Earth, like Reiki is from Sirius. So a lot of people who have a past life history with Sirius, like they're really into different, you know, like healing modalities, as well as like mysticism, magic, metaphysics, witchcraft, astrology, tarot cards, alternative healing. So if you're into that kind of stuff, like you probably are from Sirius, because they were just so in touch with like healing, but like also they had it kind of like systemized into like tools and systems. So that's where like the mystery schools were on Sirius, and a lot of the ascended masters taught there. So if you have like a really strong connection to like Yeshua, who also, you know, is more commonly from a societal level, you know, known as Jesus, or like Buddha is another ascended master, Mary Magdalene is an ascended master, right? You know, if you have a strong connection, work with them. You probably have a strong connection to Sirius as well. If you're drawn to healing, mostly medicine, but also all alternative healing modalities, such as Reiki, crystal healing, massage therapy, and acupuncture, probably a Sirius Starseed. Sirius Starseeds are all tatted up. They really enjoy getting tattoos and piercings, and expressing themselves artistically through clothing and accessories. So if you like that kind of stuff, you know, you could be from Sirius, which a lot of us do. Also, a lot of Sirius Starseeds are into like fantasy movies, right? You know, stuff like Lord of the Rings, you know, fairy stuff, a lot of stuff like that. They're into that type of stuff. But then also, if you feel a deep connection to the water element, such as the ocean and oceanic beings like whales, dolphins, mermaids, good chance you're a Sirius Starseed. And a lot of my clients that come to me that have had past lives on Sirius, a lot of them were like mer people, mermaids on Sirius B, which I will be releasing a reel on Instagram about this soon. But mermaids do not look like Ariel on Sirius, right? They're a lot more fishy looking, what we might consider kind of like ugly or not as attractive, right? No shame in their game, but they're just not the typical depictions of what we would see mermaids here on planet Earth. So I actually have a ton of clients who have come to me, you know, and have had mermaid lives on Sirius B. Like, it's very, very common. So if you love mermaids, or you love being in the ocean, you love swimming, you work with marine biology, or you've always had an interest in it, I definitely think you could be a Sirius Starseed. So, with that being said, if you want to find out for sure, like I mentioned, I do a reading where we'll go through your entire galactic history and we'll find out your soul origin. So if you want to book one of those with me, the link is below to book. So, with that being said, let's get into our message for our Sirius Starseeds. So I'm tuning in. It's interesting because they are taking me to a scene with water, which we've been talking a lot about that. This is about being comfortable in your element right now. So for a lot of Sirius Starseeds, there's something you're not comfortable with right now. Like, there's something you've kind of been thrown into, or that you feel like is tugging at you in a certain direction. And it's taking you to look at a part of yourself that you haven't looked at before. Something that you haven't felt comfortable or safe looking at before, and you're kind of being forced to look at it during this 2-week period. So kind of similar to our vegans. But right now it's going to be a lot of time for inner reflection, but also time to take action too, to speak up for yourself and to speak your mind as well. So for a lot of Sirius Starseeds, it just feels like you haven't been comfortable being here on Earth. Those of you listening have struggled with this, like you haven't been comfortable being in the human body. I do feel like there are quite a few people who have Sirius, you know, or have lifetimes on Sirius as mermaids, merbeings, who are listening to this, and you know, there's a comfort in having the type of body you're most typically used to, but also there is a comfort in trying something new. And I think for a lot of you, you wanted to try something new. You wanted to have a new type of body in this incarnation, in this lifetime. And for many of you, it's your first time in human form. And that is okay. And so I think the message here is that it is okay to give yourself a little grace in this time, because you are getting used to doing something that you haven't done before. A lot of you haven't been this type of human before. You've wondered about it, but I feel like a lot of you guys have been mainly aquatic beings, whether that's here on Earth or on Sirius. It just feels like for the first time, a lot of you are in this human form, and that is okay. The advice for Sirius Starseeds right now is to just play it cool. Know that this is a new feeling that's coming in. There's going to be a lot less resistance. Again, we kind of talked about this resistance piece earlier, But sitting with the resistance, sitting with the hard part of, hey, I don't feel completely normal here, normal in this body, or I don't feel completely normal, you know, with who I am or what I stand for, who I've been. You know, there's parts of me I don't feel okay with, I feel uncomfortable. Just letting that be okay. Letting it be okay and sitting in those parts of you that feel uncomfortable, sitting in those parts of you and telling yourself, telling your inner child, your inner little girl, your inner little boy, like, it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to be uncomfortable. And kind of knowing that the uncomfortableness will eventually fade. And it's not resisting, right? It's sitting in the resistance and not actively resisting, which is hard. It's a hard thing to describe, right? But when you're actively resisting, you're pushing something off and you're saying no, no, no. When you aren't actively resisting something, you're feeling the resistance, you're sitting in it. It's not that the resistance magically goes away, but you sit in it and you don't let it bother you. You don't take any action to resist it. You just say, it is what it is. I'm not comfortable with this, but I'm just going to sit in that feeling where I feel uncomfortable, and I'm just going to be at peace with that I'm doing everything that I can do, right? And then once you do that, things start to feel less comfortable. Things start to release. You let things go. These things that were holding you back and making you feel uncomfortable, that are causing this resistance, slowly they get smaller and smaller and they fade away. And it feels like this uncomfortable thing is either over, like you did it and you made it through, or it feels like this uncomfortable thing doesn't have a hold on you anymore, right? And you've worked through it, right? So that is going to be the message and the advice for Sirius Starseeds this 2-week new moon period. I keep messing that up, so I had to say it slow that time. All right, so for our Pleiadian Starseeds, we're going to move on to you guys next. So Pleiadian Starseeds, they're like very gentle and kindly in nature. They're very soft-spoken and polite generally. So with a lot of Pleiadian Starseeds, you have to remember, like, this is a fifth dimensional civilization, and so there's a lot less things like war, arguing, bickering, negative frequencies there, like anger, fear, attachment. You know, I almost never go into past lives that have to be healed in the Pleiades. Like, it's always on like Orion, a lot's on Sirius, Lyra, obviously with everything that happened there with like the Lyran wars on Earth, but you just don't get a lot of past lives that need to be healed in the Pleiades, right? So for a lot of Pleiades, like I said, they're higher dimensional beings, so they're extremely empathic. They take on other energy and can transmute negative energy in any environment. So if you're the kind of person that when you walk in the room, you can kind of calm the energy down, like maybe people were fighting or upset before, and then you walk in and it changes the energy in the room, like you just have that personality or that way about you, that could mean that you are Pleiadian. Pleiadians do like have more physical characteristics, like they're all very like tall and slender with blonde hair and blue or green eyes, or some people who are indigenous with darker hair and skin can also be Pleiadian. And there is a difference between like your genetics, like your physical genetics being of a certain star system, but then your soul, it is easier for souls to go into physical bodies with a similar type of genetics in them, but you can go into like almost any type of soul could go into any type of human, right? But there are like physical characteristics. So if you have those physical characteristics and you feel like, oh, like I kind of look like that, you know, like that could mean you have a Pleiadian soul and you chose a body with Pleiadian DNA or characteristics. A lot of Pleiadian starseeds like work in the health and wellness industry, so like dietitians, yoga instructors, alternative healing modalities, psychology. A lot of Pleiadians love animals and also feel drawn to work in careers that help and advocate for animals. So beautiful, beautiful souls are Pleiadians. Let's get into the message for our Pleiadians. Pleiadians are feeling a bit timid during this new moon 2-week period. Definitely feels like, it's funny because it feels like their inner child is also really at play here, but their inner child is like ready to go, but it's like the adult part of them that is not ready to go, that wants to stop and be timid. And it's like you want to inspect things, you want to find out more information, you want to really look something over before you make a decision. And so for a lot of Pleiadians, it feels like they're standing in their own way. You could get moving. You could let your inner child just kind of take the driving wheel, the steering wheel, and just go, but instead you're hesitant. Like there's a lot of hesitancy for our Pleiadian star weeks over this period. The reason is that because of this is that there's a part of you that you are unsure of yourself. So there's a lot of parts work for all the star seeds this period, but it feels like there's just a part of you you're unsure. You're unsure about who you are and if you're ready for this. There's a timidness in it. There's a, can I really do this? Is this really me? Am I capable? Right? So with Pleiadians, it feels a little bit more like confidence, whereas like some of the other star seeds, it was more identity. But for our Pleiadian starseeds, it feels more about inner confidence. The inner child's super confident. Like the inner child's like, let's go. But like the adult is like not sure, right? And the adult has been hurt. The inner child hasn't been hurt yet. The inner child here is like 2 or 3 years old. Like the adult has been through a lot of stuff and they've dealt with a lot, right? And they've come into that karma, that baggage they brought into this lifetime, and they're feeling it. They're feeling it and they're not ready to move forward because they're not confident in themselves and they're not confident in the situation either. So there's an aspect of like internal confidence, but like external confidence as well. Like you've just been in this type of situation before and you don't have good feelings because things may not necessarily have turned out the best in the past. So the advice here is that it's okay to hesitate, but you don't want to hesitate too long, because if you keep hesitating, right, like it's like you just keep hesitating over and over again, you don't learn the lesson and you move forward. So we do want to try and work through that hesitation in a gentle way. So the advice here is to take things like one step at a time, right? To make progress, but it's okay to make it slowly, to be gentle with yourself, right? This is about inner love and inner healing. And so when we're looking at these things that intimidate us or that isolate us or that scare us, we have to say it's okay. It's okay for me to be scared because I've been in this situation before and it didn't turn out too well for me. But just because I was in this situation in the past doesn't mean it's going to have the same outcome in the future. And even if that sounds unbelievable, when you think things are going to be the same as they were in the past, that's speaking from a wound, right? And that's speaking from your wound of like, hey, this is a reality. I know it's going to turn out this way. And it's speaking from a hurt, right? But it's time to look at that hurt and look at the hurt in the face. Look at the wound, that part of you that is making you feel like it's impossible or things are never going to change. Things are always going to be the same. It's time to look at that wound and say, no, things don't have to be the same. I honor you and I respect you, but it's time to let you go. And it's time to look at the new task at hand from a different perspective, right? So it's going to be really facing that wound, that inner fear, and saying, we're not the same. Things have changed. We're not the same person we were 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. We didn't handle the situation that well last time, but it doesn't mean that we're going to continue to handle it poorly or the same way in the future, right? Like, I'm different. I've done a lot of self-growth. Like, I've changed a lot. Things have been different. And we are that person our inner child believes us we can be, right? We are that person our inner child is rooting for us to believe, right? So it's going to be grasping onto that and giving things a go. It's going to be jumping into things head first and saying, I can do this. I am capable. I am loved. I love myself. But I also know that I'm capable. I am strong. I am smart. And I was, I came to this planet to do this, right? So for a lot of you guys, it's going to be stepping into this life purpose, right? Part of our life purpose is overcoming the things that hurt us in our past lives. And so for a lot of you guys, it's going to be a pivotal moment where you are able to clear some of that karma or start to clear some of that karma, right? Or it depends on where you are in your journey. It's either a big karma clearing or it's like a step in the right direction. Either way, you're positively having momentum to move forward, and that is what matters. So the overwhelming message I'm getting is like, go for it. Yes, we need to move forward, right? Which we can do after we work with that part of you that feels like they failed in the past, right? Maybe they did fail, maybe they did fail, because it's okay to fail. It's okay to screw up. It's okay to do something wrong. What is not okay is to let that stop you from doing it again, right? And even if you fail again, that's okay also, right? It might take you several times of failing, but you don't give up. You keep going, and eventually you're not going to fail anymore, right? it's not going to matter if you fail, because you're going to look at failure different, right? Your whole perspective is going to be different, and it's going to be changed, right? So it's a big step for Pleiadians, this new moon. So yay. Okay, I know a lot of my Pleiadian starseeds are out there. All right, so we're gonna end with our Orion starseeds. Our Orion starseeds, man, like Orion is just like kind of like Earth. Like it was very dense, very polarized, battle between good and evil. So it's very similar like what happened in the Star Wars movies, how there was like an evil empire and there was resistance against it, like during the Orion Wars. That's very high level, obviously, but it was, you know, that level of like warfare and things like that. So a lot of Orion starseeds have been through it on other planets, right? A lot of Orion starseeds have been heroes on other planets, right? Fighting for the good, fighting for the resistance, right? Against evil, against the dark, the shadows, you know, that were there during their time on Orion. So Orion starseeds are very strong. They also value intelligence over emotion, and a lot of them actually come here to Earth to learn more about how to love and experience emotions and be loved. A lot of them work in science or politics, or they desire to be a whistleblower and share the truth about all the deception on planet Earth. So whistleblowers out there, probably from Orion, they're very optimistic in the face of adversity. And also they tend to be opinionated and don't sway on their viewpoints easily. So if you're very opinionated, always have been, always will be, chances are you could be an Orion starseed. So I'm just gonna get some water quickly. Yeah, so if any of those traits really sound familiar with you and you're like, yeah, I really have always, like when I'm watching Star Wars, like I really felt like an affinity to it, like it was real, like I felt attachment, you know, like to it. I just really resonated with me. There's a part of me that feels like I felt those emotions before, I've been in those situations before. Like chances are that you did have like a past life history on Orion. So if you feel that way, I really encourage you to book a reading with me. We can go through your, you know, entire soul history, where you're from, where you've been, why you came here to planet Earth. So if you want to book that, click the link below. Also, don't forget to subscribe. All right. So let's tune in for our messages for Orion starseeds. Okay, so for Orion starseeds, there's going to be a minute here where you need to figure out what happened. So you're kind of stepping into something, you see something, it's like you walk into the room and there's a mess, and you're like, okay, what happened? Like maybe you have, let's just give a scenario of like someone has like little kids and they have been in the other room, they walk in and there's a huge mess, and you're like, oh, okay, like what happened, right? You're trying to figure it out. There's going to be a lot of putting the pieces together, right? Trying to figure things out. It feels like a lot of time for introspection, like really trying to tie up loose ends and understand what happened. And so it's funny because they're showing me the character that's kind of showing me this is Jar Jar Binks. There were ETs on Mintaka, which is one of the planets in the Orion star system, that did look like Jar Jar Binks. And so they're showing me him. And I did a whole other channeling about that also on this YouTube channel if you want to check it out. But yeah, it feels like it's interesting because it also feels like during this period, it's like you're going to be kind of like it's something like presenting a project or showing results to someone or telling someone what happened, and you're a little nervous about how you're going to do because you could kind of receive some judgment, like if it's a work project or like, you know, how were your results? How did you do? Like it's kind of a time you're going to be getting some kind of external like decision point or maybe evaluation feedback, something along those lines. It's a little nerve-wracking because it feels like there's a shyness here and there's not a lot of like there's a little bit of insecurity or like not sure how you're gonna do in this, right? And it doesn't feel like a strong like you're insecure, but it's just like a little shy and not sure what the person's gonna think, and you're kind of waiting to see, you know, like maybe it's the first time you're handing in an assignment for a class, like a new teacher, a new boss, or you know, something like that. That's kind of what it feels like. And it feels like there's some type of attachment to a role here where like you're trying to get someone's approval, right? So like it could be like a fatherly figure, or it does feel I feel like it feels like more masculine, not necessarily saying this person would be like, you know, a man, but like the approval feels like more of a masculine. Like you're trying to prove yourself or show who you are, but you're not confident in it. Like there's something you're not embodying or doing here. Like you want to, but you just haven't found that inner strength or inner confidence yet. And again, it feels like not showing the world who you are. Like it feels like there's a little bit, like you're not crediting yourself. There's a little disbelief in yourself. Like you're not crediting yourself. You're not sure. You want to be sure. You want to be confident. You want to step forward like in all your glory and your light and all that. You want to show the world who you are, but you're not sure if you're ready, and you're seeking someone else's approval. So it seems like part of it is like, you know, you're working on something, you want approval, but it's almost like in order to find that inner confidence, you're feeling like you need external, you know, approval from like a boss or professor, you know, or even maybe like they're showing me like if you're a churchgoer and you're in religion, like it's like that maybe your religious teacher or some kind of person in the religion, like the pastor or something like that, you're wanting their approval. You're wanting their approval. And so, do you really need their approval? Like, ask yourself this question, like, why do I feel like I need this person's approval to feel good about myself? Why can't I just feel good about myself because I'm happy with my result or I'm happy what I did? Like, why do I need this other person's approval? Like, should how you feel about yourself be attached to approval by another person? Because often it is, right? Like often we're in a job and sometimes the people who get promotions or, you know, get those special rewards or get put as a leader of the team, sometimes it's just because the boss likes them the best, right? And a lot of times it's not. A lot of times it's based off merit. But there's always some element of that, right? Like there's always some element of that. And a lot of times people wonder like, okay, like, is it really like because they're the, you know, they did the best, or is it because they're the most like the boss and the boss sees, you know, themselves and the younger person, right? Like it's a lot of the time there is that, unfortunately, in our society, right? But this is about kind of moving past that. This is about looking within and understanding that you don't need someone else's approval to be confident in yourself. You could go out and you could do this anywhere. And you don't need this one person's approval. It does feel like, for a lot of you, like it's attached to a person's approval, right? And it feels like fatherly boss, like respected leader within a community type of feeling. It's like you need their approval. So the advice here is that you don't need their approval. You don't need their approval to be great. You don't need their approval to reach your dreams. You don't need their approval to make money or say what you want to say or do what you want to do. You don't need their approval to be confident in yourself. Like you are just fine and good and confident in yourself without their approval. If they rejected you, it wouldn't mean that you weren't supposed to be doing what you're doing. Like if you were training to be, you know, the next, you know, singer in a, you know, like a pop artist, just because they tell you you're not good enough or you don't have their approval doesn't mean you couldn't go somewhere else and become a pop artist some other way. You know, that's the energy I'm feeling, you know, from this. So for Orion Starseeds, it's really going to be looking inside and saying, like, why do I need this person's approval so much? Why is that? And I think you'll find that, like, and it's going to be a different reason for everyone, right? Like, it's not going to be, you know, the same thing. Like, for some of you, it's going to be because there's an attachment to something or a mother wound or a father wound. For some of you, it's going to be a past life thing, right? Like, in a past life, you know, you had maybe you had a karma with this particular person, or maybe it's just like the dynamic, right? Like you always, you never had that approval, right? And you were always trying to approve and you never really looked and thought about what you actually wanted to do with your life or what you actually thought about yourself. And so now it's your time to do it different, right? So it's not going to be the same for everyone, but I think the message for everyone is to look inside, maybe meditate, maybe journal, whatever works for you, and say, why do I feel like I need this person's approval? And then I think once you get the answer, the next steps will be clear. I think you'll know, oh, maybe I don't need their approval. Or maybe I feel like I need their approval because I never felt like I got my father's approval and this is the current male figure in my life. You know, something like that. I think once you know, you'll know. And then once you know, you'll be able to work through it and you'll be able to realize, like, hey, I don't actually need their approval. All right. So That one is complete for Orion Starseeds. We are going to do one more. I'm getting the message for Arcturian Starseeds. So Arcturus Starseeds, Arcturus is one of the oldest civilizations in the Milky Way galaxy. These guys are like 5th dimension and above. They're very advanced in many ways, both spiritually and technology. I'm going to get a sip of water. But like for Arcturians, they're both like highly advanced on a spiritual level, but then with technology as well. And they actually are the keepers of the Akashic Records, which I love. And they also process souls before and after their lives on Earth. All right, so they do a lot of cool things. All right, so any of you out there, Arcturian Starseeds, if you've been told that you have great mediation and psychology skills, or that you should have been a therapist, or maybe you are a therapist, that's a sign you're Arcturian Starseed. If you're very good at math and science and you work in these areas in like your field of work, could mean you're an Arcturian Starseed. If you're a planner and you like to develop a process for almost everything and stick with it, process-oriented people, because Arcturians are very logical. They're also created in the Father God consciousness. Also, if you use telepathy, if you have higher than average telepathic skills, if you can read people's thoughts or transfer your messages to others telepathically, it could mean that you are an Arcturian Starseed, because they are so higher dimensional, they don't speak. They just use telepathy, right? So you come down here and you're in a human body and you're like, I have to what? I have to do what? I have to speak out loud? Like, it could be a little bit jarring, right? So you might just try to naturally use telepathy. And so that could also be a sign that you are an Arcturian Starseed. So I'm just going to tap in and I'm going to see what messages they have for our Arcturian Starseeds today. So there's a feeling here that you're kind of like the last one, you know, we went into, it was like, what's happened here? But this one is like, there's a feeling of like, what have I done? Like, what's going on here? Like, you're kind of waking up from like something, either some type of like relationship you've been in, or work situation, or personal situation, or social situation, and you're like, what's been going on here, right? And we all have those moments. Like, I definitely have had those moments where I've been like, what have I been allowing this person to do? Or what have I been allowing this job to do? You know, you kind of come out of it and you're like, what happened? What happened? What did I allow myself to get into, right? So there's going to be some ownership, responsibility of like, what did I allow to happen? How did I not see? Like, how did I get into this situation? Okay, and so the big thing here is going to be noting like the how and why you got into this situation. What made you get into this situation, and why did you not realize you were in this situation earlier? Like, what parts of you that were in this situation were allowing you to be in this situation? Like, was it an insecurity that was allowing you to be in this situation? Was it a vulnerability? Was it an attachment to something? Maybe you're looking for something out of this situation. What was your part to play in the situation, right? Like, why were you in this situation? Like, what were you trying to get out of it? What were your intentions with this situation, right? And then what did you not intend to happen that happened, right? And I think it's going to be understanding the situation, but then also acceptance of the situation, right? Because it's going to be like accepting that you were in the situation, accepting that the situation happened, accepting that the situation was not pretty, accepting that if you could do the situation over again, you may do it differently, but also accepting that you had the experience that you need to have so that you can learn about yourselves and others. And sometimes this happens and it's embarrassing. I've been in this situation before where I'm like, what just happened? Why did I allow that to happen? Why was I not more smart? Why did I not pick up on something like that, right? And I had to understand that, like, there were certain things in that situation I needed to understand about myself, where I'm not confident, right? Where I'm not confident in myself, where I didn't draw appropriate boundaries, where I let myself get sucked in to something, right? Where my expectations of what were going to happen were not grounded, right? You know, so it's going to be a time to kind of like look and understand, like, why did I let this situation occur, right? And ultimately, there's going to be a time for forgiveness. And for some of you, that time might be right now. For some of you, that time might be later. And it's okay. It's okay to process it for as long as you need. Remember that all processing and healing occurs in divine timing. But now is the time to really sit and understand, like, why did I let myself get into this, right? Like, and what would I do differently in the future? Because we can focus on what we didn't do correctly in the past, and that's all good and well, and I think that's a great exercise, but ultimately what's done is done. And it's really like, okay, this is what I would have done different, so this is what I will do different in the future. And that's going to be what's important here, right? So, like, for me, when I've had these situations, I've had to really put up boundaries, like strong boundaries, and be like, I'm not getting into this type of situation again. I will not accept this. I will not accept that. And I think it's helped a lot because it makes me be like, hey, like, this wasn't appropriate that happened. Here's what I could have done differently. So I will do that differently next time. So I think for a lot of you guys, it's going to be an intense reflection period. It's not going to be fun necessarily, but it's going to be needed. Of course, this is about personal growth, right? Like, this is about personal growth and understanding yourself better, but then also forgiving yourself, because I think this is also with our mistakes, when we feel like we've done something wrong, there's always that forgiveness piece too. So the forgiveness piece will come, but this is about the processing before the forgiveness. So for Arcturian Starseeds, that feels like it. It's an important reminder though at the end to, like, you need to process these things and take accountability. This is about taking accountability and processing and say, this is how I'm going to do better next time, or these are the changes I'm going to make. But it's not beating yourself up. It's not saying, I suck, I shouldn't have, like, what's wrong with me. It's just about of a more objective, like, okay, here's where I truly messed up. Here's where I could do better. But I'm not going to beat the bush and say I'm not good enough or I can't do this again. You know, it's really going to be like that I'm using this as a growth opportunity, and I am just looking at it as one step in my process to continue forward, right? So this should not be something where it's hurting your confidence or you're saying you can't do it again or there's something wrong with you. No, this is not that. This is the time to reflect on your mistakes and be better and be empowered in the future. That's what this is. Okay. All right. So I think that's it for our Starseed messages today. I really enjoyed delivering these to all of you guys. I give messages every full moon and new moon for the Starseeds, and it's funny because some of the messages that come through, like, they always apply to me, and I'll be out and about and be like, oh my gosh, like, this is that message that, like, it's happening in real time, I'm seeing it. So I resonated with a ton of the messages today. I really encourage you, if you resonated with any of the messages, please check out all the different sessions I have. I know I've mentioned the Soul Origin and Life Purpose session where we really dive into your galactic history. I always recommend that as the first session anyone does with me, but I have so many different sessions, so I'll link those below. But I have healing sessions. I have sessions where we meet your star family. I have sessions where we do, like, attunements to, like, activate your third eye, to activate you to the frequency of financial abundance. I have so many different things I do, so please check out all of my sessions below. And like I said, if you love stickers or if you love cute kawaii art, please check out my free sticker printables as well. You can print those and you can either make them into stickers, or you could just make them into a poster, or just put it as, like, the background on your phone or your computer. Like, I hope just as many people as possible will use those stickers, because they make me so joyful to look at them, and I just want people to enjoy them and love them. So, all right, well, that's it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time. All right, bye everyone.